Clarence Sample the third. The section coaches and pros, the X's and O's. This is the best point of view. What we know, so let's go. Yo, what's up with all my people out there, man? What's going on? Welcome to the Fans Point of View. Chuck and Chubby right here, man. What is going on with y'all, man? Hey, another week of college football, man. Steelers is coming on today. I'm excited about that. We got the Green Bay Packers tonight. Got them tonight, because these are filmed on Sundays, just to let y'all know that. But hit that like button. The top 10 survives. Hit the like, share with your friends and your family, somebody out there bound to rock with Chuck and Chubby. You dig? And make sure that you're getting them comments, man. Let's interact. That's the way I get to talk to y'all, right? Man, the top 10 survived, right? Everybody seemed like the top 10 came to play. The top 25 always gets shook up, but I think this is the first week, that the top 10 has not shifted in some way in week 9 in college football. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing. The Colorado Buffaloes, however, they just did not come to play. They didn't. And we're going to talk about the Colorado Buffaloes and the fans that are just outrageous right now. And they're just blaming Kaidon Salter alone. They are blaming Kaidon Salter alone for what Colorado went through with Utah. And I must say, the way that that fan base is, I don't know if it's the made up fan base, the one that came with Dion, or if it's the actual Colorado Buffalo fan base. Now, I would like to think that it's not. But, the guys the people who came over with Dion, they're just overnight fans. Like, this is no shock to me. This is no shock to me that Colorado looks like this, right? We've talked about it over and over and over. If you know football, that is. And there's nothing wrong if you don't know it. That's why we try to there's a lot of channels out here that try to inform people who really don't know the game as much. Even myself, I learned a lot from a lot of people out here, right? And try to inform you and be real, because see, what happens is when you're just being a fan of a coach or a team, and your content and your information is too positive, there's a line you straddle, which leads into misleading and misinforming the audience of this to come. I believe if there was enough channels out there that covered the Colorado Buffaloes, and I mean this enough because there is some, but I'm saying enough. The main ones, the main channels that people go to look at the content on the Colorado Buffaloes do not do this. They do not inform their audience that this possibly could have happened to the Colorado Buffaloes, because you're looking at the Colorado Buffaloes as if this is some kind of shock. Well, to a lot of people who know the game of football, they seen this coming. They seen this coming. Some people may have thought it may have happened last year. I do think that Travis Hunter had got them out of a jam. Shador did. LeJounte's got them out of a jam against Baylor. The Hail Mary throw. We've seen Travis Hunter alone be a problem for teams, being uncoverable at times. Shador Sanders, with his accuracy, they saved him out of a lot of games. This is, So when you look at the Colorado Buffaloes and what they have, what's been going on this year, I've always said from the beginning of this year, if Coach Prime wins 6 games with this team in this roster, that they were going that was a fantastic job. To win 6 games to get to a bowl game with this team is a fantastic job to me. And why is that? Well, Kaidon Salter is the quarterback, number one. Um, I really didn't know a lot of these other guys scattered around. Now I know a lot more. I'm a lot more well researched than I was last year in this thing. You know what I mean? So when you looking at this, it's like, okay, you did not expect. And then when you keep bringing in all these guys out of the transfer portal, and you still in this year 3, and you still don't have a base of your players to put on the field, right? That's when problems start to occur, right? Like you still like you can plug and play, but where's your culture at, right? There's not really one there, right? There's this, it's just a bunch of people like to call them mercenaries, but transfer portal players. And when you go into the transfer portal, you really got to know how to evaluate talent, right? It's like when you get the old ball, the thing you put the ball in when you playing a lottery, they go and they reach the ball out and they pull it out. If is that number gonna hit or not? We don't know. I mean, but you should. The Italian evaluator should know who you're grabbing out of the transfer portal, right? And it doesn't seem to work. A lot of people, and it's just not Colorado whose season is, going left. It's not just Colorado. So, I think a lot of people are the fan base is unfairly going in because y'all are well misinformed due to the channels that you consume on the Colorado Buffaloes. That's why you are misinformed. Um, there is people who break down film that's been trying to tell you this. There's been people who don't break down film that has told you this, that have live shows. And there is however, there's this whole slew of people. And then when the main news source of the Colorado Buffaloes, they just now be getting upset about things and not really informing, and they're around the team, so they actually know how good these players are, right? And what these players do, but they're fans. They're not, and that is the integrity of it. And I don't want to sound like I'm bashing on somebody's channel or whatever. They do what they got to do, but I'm just trying to be real and honest about why you see an outrage online about the Colorado Buffaloes. That's why. That's just why. And I got to get into this before we move on, and I'm done with this Colorado Buffalo subject, because they let Utah just do what they just went off. They absolutely went off. I still have not consumed the press conference of Coach Prime because I just don't want to hear the same thing over and over. I have not consumed it. But I'm pretty sure that there's really nothing you can say when you get beat this bad besides we got really beat this bad, and it was off a bye week, which makes it even worse. And in which case that I do see a lot of people out there continuing to blame Kaidon Salter and say put in Juju Watkins, the true freshman quarterback that reclassified to be a Colorado Buffalo quarterback. Well, he wouldn't have made this game no better. I think the game would have absolutely been worse, or he possibly could have got hurt. Being a true freshman quarterback, I mean, but we have seen a lot of true freshman quarterback in college football play really well this season. There's a lot of true freshman quarterbacks that's all scattered throughout college football that have absolutely stepped up to the plate this year and have shown maturity, from the beginning of the season and have played out. Now at this point, I mean, there's a lot of fans that are saying, we just want to scrap the season. If he wins, he wins. Let's get him out there and let's see what he got going on. But to blame Kaidon Salter for a defense that has been continuously, consistently bad. That Colorado Buffaloes defense has been bad. Period. Point blank. There's no which way around it. It's been bad since week 1. And then a lot of experienced guys out in the field said, well, this is what Georgia Tech does. I don't care what team is known for running the ball. If you know a team runs a wing team and they're going to do nothing but, they're running the ball 70% of the time, then you got to stop the run, right? If 30% of their offense is passing the ball and 70% of their offense is running, I want to stop the run, right? You know what I mean? And you still let up over 350 yards. That's bad. That was the first sign, week 1. But that's what just Georgia Tech is really good at doing it. I don't care how well they're doing it. They've been doing it really well the whole season, and they're undefeated right now. Georgia Tech is a really good football team. They're really good. But there has been teams who has gave Georgia Tech problems. There has been, and played really good football against them. But, again, they're just good at what they're doing, and they're seniors, right? It happened in the BYU game, the Houston game, and it's a continuing thing. And then Utah just blew the doors open on it and said, you know what? We're not going to take it easy. We're coming out here ready. We're prepared. And what's crazy is it was kind of they just come off of a heated rivalry game against BYU. Colorado had a bye week to prepare for Utah and still came into this game like this. So you definitely just can't blame just the quarterback. It's more than just a quarterback. It's everybody, including your favorite content creator that did not prepare you for this moment. Like, yes, I'm going there. Yeah, I'm going low. I'm going there. I'm going there because it's just the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. These guys knew exactly who Kaidon Salter was and what you were getting out of the Porter and Kaidon Salter. I don't know what made people think that Kaidon Salter was different than what you have already seen out of him. What has possibly made Kaidon Salter any different than what you have seen out of him so far? Nothing. Absolutely. There's nothing. There's nothing different out of Kaidon Salter you are getting. Absolutely nothing, man. It's the same Kaidon Salter you're getting out of the portal. So, and this is, I have to pull this up because and I'm gonna put it on the screen because people do not realize how important it really is to see who Kaidon Salter really is. So let's get him pulled up. Let's get Kaidon Salter pulled up here and all his news and everything, right? So let me get Kaidon Salter pulled up. Okay. So once I get Kaidon Salter pulled up and I'll get his stats pulled up here. This is Kaidon Salter, just for everybody out there. You see him, as audio listeners, Kaidon Salter. I got him pulled up on ESPN. If you can't pay attention, you know what I mean, and you're just listening to it audio style or whatever. All right. He's a senior, 6'1", 190 from Cedar Hill, Texas, right? All right. Kaidon Salter, this is what he is. All right. This season, he has 1,193 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a QBR of 74.7, right? That's just what he has. This is what he does. His rating is 45.9, completion percentage is 40.9, passing yards 37, up against Utah. That was against Utah. Those was his stats against Utah, right? That's just it, right? So let's go to his career stats, because what did Colorado Buffaloes fans think they were getting? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. To be honest, if we're being honest, so far this season in 2025 with the Colorado Buffaloes is his best completion percentage with 62.2 completion percentage. is his best. Now, in 2023, he played at Liberty. He had a phenomenal year. He threw for over 2,500 yards and he ran for over 1,000. And he had 12 TDs on the ground and he had 32 in the air with only 6 interceptions. So that was the guy that Colorado thought they were getting or they wanted the bank to get. But however, he still was only completing 61% of his passes that season. He threw a total he could do a total of 290 passes. He completed 177 of them for 61%, had 2,876 yards. He averaged 9.9 per catch, and I think he believed he had an NFL talent receiver too. 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, had a long of 75. He was only sacked 9 times that year. He was sacked 9 times that whole year. So no stats don't tell a whole story, but if you read them correctly, then it kind of tells you with him being clean, 9 sacks in one season is that's very, very good. That's very good. 9 sacks in a whole entire season. If you playing 12 games, that means, you do the math, right? You played 12 games in a college football season, in which that year I believe they played Oregon in a bowl game and got absolutely road stomped, road killed. But he got sacked 9 times. You played 12 games in an entire season, right? So there was 3 games he went without a sack, keeping him clean and upright and in a good pocket. The guy in his best season is giving you 61% of his 61 completion percentage, right? So that's just there. That's just a small story, right? And nobody, I believe, I don't think a lot of people reported on it this way. And see, and that can be a problem. There's nothing wrong with making positive content. There's nothing, you don't got to be negative, but for some reason the truth is negativity, which I don't get, But anyway, and I'm not hating on the guy because I've been saying that it's not his fault, I kind of been pushing for the guy. Like, look, he's doing exactly what he does. Now, in 2024, when Liberty lost a very uncharacteristic loss, they lost to a Kennesaw team who had just gone over into that Sun Belt Conference, I believe. They were very bad too. Kennesaw State, I don't think they won one game out of Kennesaw, Georgia before they had played Liberty, and they beat Liberty, and it was a big thing. It was a huge thing. And when when we saw this, we said, oh, that was a problem, right? Now he had completed 56.3% of his passes throughout the entire season, had 261 attempts, only completed 147 of it, had 1,886 yards, right? Had 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in that season. He was sacked 19 times, though. His completion percentage took a big dive when he was sacked 19 times. Plus his rushing numbers in 2024, right? And his rushing, it had dropped in half from 2023. He only had 587 yards rushing, right? And 7 touchdowns. So kind of telling you, not so much of a good, if you can get to him, because even with this guy in a clean pocket, at best, you're getting his best right now. And the season isn't over right now, but he's completing 62.2% of his passes. That's the best Kaidon Salter has been in his whole career, in his whole collegiate career. Now, is he throwing for the most yards? Absolutely not. He's been sacked 14 times, which is like the most he was sacked was last year. He's been sacked 14 times here at Colorado this year. He only has 266 rushing yards. He has 5 rushing touchdowns here at Colorado. He has 5 interceptions. He has 9 touchdowns. But I mean, I'm not really understanding what's going on and why people are so shocked. So if you averaged out his entire career, the completion percentage for this guy is below a 60. It's 59% completion percentage. You don't want your quarterback having a 59% completion percentage. You just don't want that at all. At all. And so and it's crazy for me to say this, but I must say this about Kaidon. So I had to put this out here about the Colorado, because the Colorado fans went absolutely ballistic on Kaidon Salter. And a lot of people blame him and said put Juju in, the true freshman quarterback. You probably should have let Kaidon Salter go to a team that was actually going to know how to best utilize his talents. And because you Colorado just didn't know how to do that. They just don't. Which makes you think, is there actually development going on? Um, is there actual coaching going on? And it raises a lot of questions, right? It brings up a lot of questions on what's going on at Colorado, with Colorado, because he's not any different than what he was or has always been. That's the guy that you guys thought and was told by and listened to the hype that was a Heisman guy coming from G5. I think we seen the true flashes of him last year. Like, I'm not saying that, and I hate and it's, I'm not, because he is a very good athlete to be playing at the level of football he's playing at. He's a very good athlete. The kid is absolutely athletic, gifted, right? And the thing is he is who he is. Period. There's no which way to look at that, to put that. And I think a lot of us saw last season, if you watch college football outside of the Power Four conferences, there's trouble. He didn't have everything Liberty had and how dominant Liberty was over the Sun Belt Conference the year before. And the team wasn't built perfect, and it was like, okay, we're okay. It's a little rattled, missing some throws. That's what he did. This is, you know what I mean? It's nothing new, and it's a shame that, and I just think that, once again, this is a sign for young quarterbacks out there that moving on to a different place does not mean it's always better, because staying put and really locking down and trying to develop yourself in your talent. If you're a quarterback, there has to be more than just, you're only going to get a bigger bag with the more knowledge you know. The more you know, the more you understand, the more you develop yourself. Not moving on all the time is the best thing for a lot of guys. It's just not. The competition level is a lot higher, is a step above. I don't want to say a lot higher, but it's a step above where he was at in the Sun Belt Conference with Liberty, right? It's a step up above that. Still, I still think it's G5, but it's a step up. And these guys are a lot hungrier, and when you can't protect them, this is kind of the results you get out of them, right? It's just, it is what it is. And had there been another quarterback with a back there, the excuses would have been, the narratives would be totally different. The narratives would be, oh, the offensive line isn't protecting. The wide receivers can't run their routes right. Pat Schumer is horrible. He's not calling the right plays. It would have never been pinned on the quarterback that controls the ball. And I think that Kaidon Salter has done a fantastic job with taking on a lot of that criticism, even coming from a hypocrite of a head coach. And I must say that, because that is hypocritical behavior when you say a certain standard is and whatever else, and you never called out any other quarterback, but you called out this quarterback in a couple of times. You've addressed him a couple of times. It's just not him. The defense has been the problem at Colorado. So before we get up off this subject, and I'm done with this 20-minute video, half an hour video I'm making about Colorado and talking about it because it's a very, very compelling and entertaining topic. Let's look at the defense and what the defense has given up. Right. I don't know if I can look at the whole thing, so I'll try to get to the game. If it was even on, I don't even know if they're gonna even try to let me remotely even look at the score. Okay, so the defense, right? Anyway, all right, the defense had given up some crazy. They gave up 422 yards rushing to Utah last night. 422 yards. The quarterback by himself had more total yards by himself than what Colorado had the whole entire night. The offensive line got beat so bad. They got beat really bad. And I must say that Jordan Seaton did not look like he was the second best offensive line in college football last night, but everybody's going to have their kryptonite, and he's just a sophomore. He's only a sophomore. He can't carry a whole team. I still think he's a great offensive lineman, but the defensive line got pushed 3 yards to 4 yards off the ball every single snap. Utah's offensive line was mauling Colorado's defensive line. Mauling their defensive line. They owned the trenches last night. They absolutely owned the trenches. And that was never brought up. That was never brought up by a lot of experts. I believe me, I seen it all last night on all the shows and the Twitters, and there was so many people that was afraid to say, Coach Prime, you dropped the ball. And, and I get it. They're friends. And I guess, there's a line that you have to straddle when you're somebody's friend and when you're in the media, right? But he just did, and it's just recruiting wise. But anyway, the defense has always been the problem. It just has been. Now, I'm not, I really prefer not to go through every single stat defensively for this team. But if you go back and you look at every single stat for every game on this team defensively, this defense has consistently given up for over 400 yards of total offense every single game. You can't win like that, period. You just can't. And even with Kaidon Salter's interception last night, they still didn't capitalize off that, if you remember, because they got a dumb penalty. Somebody retaliated in a dumb way, which moved them out of field goal range. But so they still didn't even capitalize off of that. Not to say that's anything, but it kind of would have woke a lot of people up earlier this year. This Utah game, to me, and I'm not saying this being funny, I'm saying this being real, Colorado fans. This is what Georgia Tech would have looked like if Georgia Tech did not fumble 3 times in the first quarter. And I'm not being funny. I'm not trying to make riddles. I'm a guy who watches the games. I look at what they do best and how they're capitalizing off that, and then looking at what Colorado's weaknesses is, or other teams' weaknesses is, and other teams and how best they can do it, right? I don't get it right all the time, but I'm telling you, when you turn over the ball 3 times in one quarter in plus territory, the 40 or your own 40 or better, so the offense has to go 40 yards to score a touchdown. and you wind up winning the game by 7. That's amazing, right? Because that's 3 touchdowns. Like I'm telling you, if Georgia Tech did not turn the ball over 3 times, this is what that game would have possibly looked like. But it didn't, and then they lost to all undefeated teams. So then the narrative was, from a lot of people, the whole narrative was, oh my goodness, these guys are, they've only lost to all undefeated teams. And then, if you're a fan of that and you hear that, you go, oh, light bulb. Yup, they lost to all undefeated teams. So we're really not that bad because every team that beat us is undefeated right now. Okay. Have you looked at what your defense is doing? Have you looked at what the cornerbacks are doing? Have you looked? Okay. All right. I guess so. All right. Whatever. All right. And you even got people who have shows that say, you know what? Last week it was phenomenal when they beat Iowa State. Yeah, this team has turned it around. I really think this team is going to run the table. You got fans that listen to that. And you got fans that say, oh, yeah, when you're a fan, you say, yep, we can run the table. We looked good. Things are clicking. There you go. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest and I'm being real. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that I'm trying to accomplish here, but besides just being real and being honest. This is what is going on out here. And I don't want to give that. I don't want to give that to y'all on my channel. Not even with my Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a lot of things that a lot of Steeler fans out here do not agree with when I talk about my Steelers and when I say things about my Steelers. I won't give it to y'all with them, and I love my Steelers. And I won't give it to y'all in that type of way. I won't do that. I'll try to be honest. I'll try to call it down the middle about things. Don't want to be too much into one way to where now you look crazy and you look, how else could I put this? You look discredit yourself. You discredit yourself and you don't look reliable, like you can be somebody who's, because we all don't get it right, but you really look really silly when you come out here and you make comments like that, and you know better to make comments like that. But you could play, but you can't play a player. You know what I'm saying? Can't play me. Got a better chance of playing the lotto. But look, I look. That's all I'm saying is they got a touch road ahead. The remaining games, tough road ahead. I still think that if they can somehow pull off and get 2 more victories, or get a couple. I don't know how they get 3 out of this last 4, but if they can pull it off somehow, that would be great. If not, I guess my record prediction would have been right with Colorado. The preseason, you have to go back and watch my lives. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but yeah, I have to go back and watch some of my old lives and some of my old videos to figure out what it was earlier this preseason when I did give the prediction. But man, just tough road. And for all the real Colorado Buffalo fans out there that didn't take what I said as hating and took it as destructive or just being real and honest, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that like, share, subscribe button, man. All right, that's me, the Colorado Buffalo Talk, man. Peace.